I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Time to rise and grind.
Are you kidding me? Holy on smoke!
And let's get this banter going.
It's bacon!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?
And it begins now.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell,
I think I just broke my chair. He did what?
Has anybody ever told you you have a
Serious impulse control problem?
There is but one course for me to follow. Almighty the bum!
And here we go.
Oh, yeah!
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. I played the intro this time, but I'm still kind of broken up over the news that the world received on Sunday, and that was the tragic death of one Kobe Bryant along with his daughter, Gianna, and all the rest that were on that helicopter as it crashed. And so many folks offered their thoughts on Kobe Bryant, and I'm trying not to tear up, so y'all will have to forgive me. Normally I have Transition Tuesday during the second hour. I decided to open with it, so I welcome Russ Williams, who a former basketball player at Manhattan College, big-time NBA fan. Russ, welcome to the show as always, and I give you the floor to offer your thoughts on Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, thank you so much, Snowman. I really appreciate that. My condolences go out to the Kobe Bryant family, his family, friends, also to those other 7 passengers who were fatally killed during that accident as well. Yeah, really tough time.
It's a tough time, and what I realized, and my wife realized it as well as I was talking about it, it hit me hard a couple of ways. Not only as a fan, but also as a parent. The toughest thing, the toughest thing for a parent to deal with is losing their child, especially in this tragic fashion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too, Snowman. It really hit me hard as well. I have 2 daughters myself, and I have one daughter who's 15, and I noticed, his youngest daughter was born in 2006. My daughter was born in 2004. So, that really hit me the hardest. Me being a former athlete and my daughter who loves volleyball, she plays volleyball. So instinctively, that really hit me once I found out about the news about Kobe Bryant, but then the death of his daughter as well. That really hit home for me. That was the first thing. Those are a couple of things I was first initially, drawn to the story on that.
As reactions continue to pour in, and I want to thank everyone who has volunteered to share their thoughts or who has shared their thoughts already. You're going to hear them throughout the course of the week. Of course, this is also Super Bowl week, but it's so hard to concentrate on the Super Bowl, and I will get to it later on in the show. Y'all will hear Mike debate. I had him on Friday. I'm going to have him tomorrow. But it's really hard to concentrate with this news about Kobe Bryant, and I am so happy the folks that Alicia Keys hosted the Grammys on Sunday night. She, Boyz II Men, Lizzo, and so many people throughout the course of that ceremony as it was held in the Staples Center honored Kobe Bryant and called it the house that Kobe built. And to have that community back him up the same way they backed him up for years, good times, bad times, whatever number he wore, number 8, number 24, it was a fitting tribute, and it's been a fitting tribute since the news came down.
Yeah, that's true. I saw the NBA had the fitting tributes to him, getting 24-second violations and 8-second counts as well. Yeah, that was a nice fitting thing. I'm kind of on the caution of what Jay Williams said on ESPN. He talked about how, possibly maybe the game should have been canceled. I'm on that side too, but, obviously they didn't do that. But, those 24-second violations, and those were very fitting as well. So,
yeah.
Man,
when this came down, I knew today's Transition Tuesday would be about Kobe Bryant, and you brought it to me saying we have to discuss this, and done nothing but discuss it since the news came down on Sunday, and I had some interviews done on Sunday. I this is a question, and I think we need to just dive into our subject with the death of Kobe being the backdrop. How does a spouse make the most difficult transition, especially after losing their partner? Because it was a difficult, let me change that word, is a difficult transition for my mom. And my dad's been gone since 2007, lost him to prostate cancer. So Vanessa Bryant is facing the most difficult challenge and the most difficult transition of her life.
Yes, I agree. I think in terms of this transition, because like yourself too, Snowman, I lost my dad maybe 5 years ago due to cancer as well. And that transition is tough. I think the first GPS we can talk about is just keeping the faith. This really tests your faith as an individual. And, things happen for a reason, as they say, God never gets it wrong. But I think your faith is tested, and it just really diving into your faith. I think that's going to be a pivotal, transitional element for, people going through this now, for the family of Kobe Bryant as well, just keeping that faith. Another GPS I always recommend is, you have to hold true and evident to those memories that you have of that person. It could be the slightest things, the slightest memories that you might have of that particular person. Hold on to those memories. Hold on to those memories. Like, for example, I'm looking at the memory and I'm seeing all throughout the news cycle, Kobe Bryant and his daughter, the poignant memory that I'm taking from me is the home pictures that look like he had of him and his daughter working out. Kobe showing his daughter, if a person plays you up close, how you create space and how you go to the basket. These are moments that you have to hold on to. And I think these moments will be shared, have those moments for, Kobe Bryant's wife and his family as well. So holding on to those precious moments, holding on to the good things that you thought about that particular person in this time of, when that person transitions and moves on.
Another transition that's taking place for Vanessa Bryant, her family. Give me a few moments, folks.
Sure, no problem.
It's a transition I'm still dealing with, and that's transitioning into a grieving period, because there has to be a grieving period. And on 2 occasions, as my wife showed me and pointed out to me, I never allowed myself to grieve, and I've lost both a parent and I've lost a child. And if there are two difficult places to grieve, those are the 2 difficult places.
Yes, I agree with you, Snowman. Yeah, you have to allow yourself time to grieve. Again, there's no timetable on the grieving as well, but that grieving process has to take place. It definitely has to take place, and it's on that person's timetable as well. That's the most important thing. But a grieving process has to definitely take place. I remember when my dad passed away. I had a grieving period. It took me a number of months to really go through the process, but it's something I had to do, and because of it, I was better off doing that. So I think the grieving process has to be done, and again, it's no timetable. It just depends on the individual, but it has to be done.
It indeed has to be done. Russ Williams joining me to kick off the Tuesday show as we talk transitioning from losing someone very close, losing a parent, losing a child. It's just there's no correct way to put this as we continue to honor Kobe Bryant throughout the course of the week. It leads me to my snowman's take, and I got to look at this from both sides. The Bryant family, his 3 remaining daughters, lost a parent, and they also lost a sibling, and Vanessa lost a child. And those are 2 areas I am too familiar with because I lost my dad in 2007 to prostate cancer, as I've spoken of many times on this show. And I lost my daughter in 2015 when she was 2 years old, and I don't know which one hurt worse because both sides of the coin hurt, and it hurts very badly because when you lose a parent and you lose a child, I'll say it again, it's 2 of the most difficult things to handle. And I'm sorry, folks. As my wife pointed out, I never allowed myself time to grieve, and I know Vanessa Bryant and her family and the rest of her daughters are grieving right now. The NBA universe is grieving, and it just made me realize how much this hurts. I was talking to some people at work this morning, and I told them when they saw me tearing up, they asked, "How did it hit you?" And it hit me as a fan because I loved watching Kobe. I mean, as a fan, I loved watching Kobe. There are so many players whose teams I didn't like, but I loved watching the players on that team because they played as a team. I mentioned the Celtics for a long time. The Kobe and Shaq Lakers because it was just a beautiful brand of basketball to watch. And Kobe was the last of the old schoolers. He was the last of... Oh, God, this is hitting me. I tried doing the show yesterday, and this is really hitting me right now. Kobe was the last of the old schoolers who played for the love of the game, and he played to win. He played to win. He played for his teammates. So many people have said he was a bad teammate. I say bollocks to that. It's become one of my favorite words. I got hooked on an audiobook mystery series by J.D. Robb, and one of my favorite characters is Rourke, and he's Irish, and one of my favorite words is bollocks. And my wife's laughing at me as she helps to turn the dials for the show. Oh my gosh. He wasn't a bad teammate because he helped his teammates win. His last game was a 60-point game, and they celebrated like they won the title as well. They should have. That's a hell of a way to go out. His daughter was going to carry on his legacy, his basketball legacy. I'm sorry. it's just hitting me so hard, and it's hitting me hard now. Talking to people, coming in from work, cranking this up, and it's the most difficult thing to go through. And I want to thank Russ Williams for helping me kick off the show, and I'm going to take a break to compose myself, and I'll do a better Snowman's Take a little later. But my condolences and prayers go out to the Bryant family. It goes out to the NBA and its universe, because they lost a legend. Rest in peace, Black Mamba. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Gianna Bryant. And to the other victims, including the Altobello family, the baseball family. I'll be back after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning,
Holy on snow!
where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
Hey folks, welcome back to the program. Please do not forget to follow us on our social media. The ID you need is SITM 9 to noon. That's SITM, the number 9, TONOON. And also, please do not forget to follow the brand new Snowman Digital Media. That's where all of my programs are housed and distributed across different networks. Speaking of shows, I had a chance to talk with the young man I have on the hotline right now. We shared some laughs, we shared some teams, and this is one half of NAN Sports Talk. This is Nolan Chislett, and he joins me right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Where are you located?
I'm actually in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Ah, St. Petersburg. Is Tropicana Field that bad? Because I've heard some horrible stories about it. Talk to me about the Trop.
But you know what? I've only been to the Trop a couple times. I've actually never been to any other baseball field. So I couldn't actually tell you like what to relate it to, because I went to one like spring field over in like Lakeland, you know, when they were doing spring training. So I don't really have any real experience with stuff like that. But I guess you could say they could probably re-renovate it or something like that. That would be far off from that.
Because that catwalk gives up so many cheap home runs. You know, all you have to do is, if you're a good power hitter, i.e. Prince Fielder, all you got to do is swing for the catwalk a couple times, and you got a 2-homer game before you can blink. Tell me about the NAN podcast, because you briefly told me about it, and I become a fan of great podcasts, and I feel yours to be one. So tell me how that got started.
I appreciate it. So my name's Nolan. Obviously, my brother's name is Nick, so it stands for Nick and Nolan Sports Talk. You know what? It's really funny. A couple years ago, we were both unemployed. And I just hit him up one day. I was like, "Hey, do you want to start a podcast?" and that's how it started.
Oh, sweet! I love it.
So we've been doing that for a little over a year now. So this would be our second year doing it. So our first year doing it, we were doing it continuously. We did it for almost the whole NFL season. And then we kind of fell off a little bit, and we were like, we got a little burned out because we were commuting to each other to record the shows. We were doing it live.
Right.
So that was like a 3-hour commute every night that we decided to do it. And so after a while, we were just like getting busy and then things like that. So we put it on a little hiatus for a little bit, and then we picked it back up this year and started recording them, over like Skype and things of that nature.
Has it been easier? Has it been easier recording off Skype?
Yeah, it's easier. I think we've been kind of switching around to find out what our new home is going to be. So right now we're using Discord, We may keep using Discord. We may switch to something else. We're not exactly sure yet, but
So
I mean, wherever.
So talk to me about Discord.
So Discord's more of a, I guess you could say it's kind of like a gaming chat platform. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's more of a gaming chat platform, but you can have a server on there. You can, do, video recordings, so on and so forth. Okay. So the positive of it is that the sound quality usually comes back a little bit better, as well as, whenever we put out not a video, but whenever we take the audio file away, it typically is condensed into a smaller file.
Right.
The issue is that it doesn't have like a recording feature within the app. So one of us is just recording like the screen. Okay. And the issue comes with that is if one of us starts lagging, well, you just lost all that audio.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times in 6 years I've struggled with audio, but now I found a pretty good fit for my audio. I want to add video, but at the same time, I want to be sure that my video feed is on point, because when I was doing video earlier in the year, there were a couple of times it was lagging, and my wife would alert me that it was lagging. So I want to be sure I get a very good connection, And I'm with Nolan Chislett. We're talking shop about podcasts and about sports. Now, you informed me before we went on that you're a Cowboy fan.
Truthfully, yes.
How is the suffering among Cowboy fans? Because I know a few of them, and they're realists, okay? But they always have that one piece of hope that things would go well. So I want to take you back to Week 17 when you guys took care of the Redskins, but then you had to watch the scoreboard and see Philadelphia take care of the Giants. How much suffering is going on with Cowboy Nation right now? And not just right now, but within the whole Jason Garrett era.
Well, you know what? That suffering has ended. We're rejoicing. Jason Garrett not only got fired by us, but now he's going over to New York. Let me just explain to you what's going to happen. Let me explain to you what's going to happen real quick.
Okay.
This is all a good plan here. Jason Garrett's going over to the New York Giants. We're never going to lose to the Giants again. But on top of that, he's loyal to the Cowboys. So he's going to beat the snot out of the Eagles every year. So now we're going to make the playoffs for at least a good 8 years running. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got a good chance.
You do realize there's a movie called Any Given Sunday. You do realize that, don't you? You
Absolutely.
Yes, you realize there's a saying called any given Sunday. You do. I told this man I'd pick on him while on the air, but people have picked on me for the past 5 years because my team has been the 49ers. And I miss the days when the Cowboys and the 49ers would hook up for an NFC championship game, because those were some epic games.
For sure.
Now, you have a basketball team that you follow?
I don't follow it because my thing is I'm a simple guy. So 17 games a year, that's doable. And then when you start getting into like the 80s and stuff like that, I am a true fan when it comes to basketball, because I am a huge Orlando Magic fan.
Okay.
But I like to usually wait till later in the season before I start like watching more and more games.
Understood.
Because it's really hard to follow.
So were you around when they first came into the league in '89?
I wasn't even born yet.
Oh my goodness. So you've basically been around since they opened the Amway Center, or the
Probably.
tail end of Amway Arena. So what do you follow football the most?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all through and through.
So now I get to tease you again and say, how about those 49ers?
Oh, man. It's going to be really rough, though. I mean, they're going to lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So,
no, they're not.
I mean, I don't know. It'll all, fall through with itself.
You realize Frisco ain't losing to the Chiefs. Not with that defense.
I don't know, man. Chiefs can score 5 different ways. So if they come out and they play a full game,
and we'll stop them 6 different ways. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see. Of the sporting events you've attended in person, which one was your favorite? Or favorites? Let me go ahead and pluralize that word. Favorites.
I love going to hockey events live.
Oh,
That's
nice.
probably. I think hockey's probably by far my favorite to go to watch live.
You got a team that you follow?
The Lightning, baby.
So now I get to tease you again and say, remember 2015.
But I could also say, remember 2004, but that's fine.
True. This is true. This is true. Lightning did win in 2004. It took until the final excruciating seconds, and I will selfishly say I do have a copy of that radio call, which was very exciting to me. So what made you get into sportscasting? What took you down the road to get into sportscasting?
Well, I've always been an athlete for a majority of my life, so I've always been into sports. I actually went on to play college football at a small school up in Northwest Georgia.
Okay.
So I've always had like a pretty analytical outlook of a lot of sports, so on and so forth. And overall, it's just I find sports to be just super entertaining. So it's just one of those things where I enjoy the camaraderie, however you said that word, of just being able to enjoy such an event. You know what I'm saying? And just be able to hang out and watch people beat the snot out of each other too. So that's cool.
Have you ever had a moment on air where a word slipped out that shouldn't have?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
What happened? Talk to me about it. What happened?
So, we were trying to prep ourselves for, going on radio and everything like that. And of course, the one word was, don't drop any more F-bombs. So,
oh, no.
Basically, the context of it was we were talking about baseball. We were talking about how the Astros were caught cheating.
Yes.
With the whole trash can incident. And so my question was because I don't really follow baseball that much. I'm not actually a big baseball fan.
All right.
So I asked Nick, I said, well, listen, how bad are these guys beating everybody? Because if it's like, maybe if it's only by like a run or two, okay, well, maybe it didn't make that big of a difference, right? Or maybe if it, was more than that, So when I said it, though, I was like, I said, well, maybe it's not that big of an effing difference or something like that. And I was like, ooh. And I literally just said right then and there, make sure you edit that out. Well, the problem came was whenever all of our audio was uploaded, we couldn't find it again.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So it got the F-bomb being dropped on there, plus the part where I go, hey, edit that out. And then I just kept going.
And you kept the tape rolling?
Yeah, we just gotta double down, man. That's my rule for life. You gotta double down.
Here's one. When I was at Chicago State University, I was selected to play the part of the Shadow. We were doing an old school radio program, and I was picked to voice the main character. Well, it got to the final read, and I've never told this story on the show. I've only told like certain people within my circle. It got to the final read. It got to the final read, and I'm up there. I'm rehearsing, and it came to my line, and the line was "Beasts of Prey." Well, I kind of misread it, and the word breasts came out, and I had the whole class in an uproar. And I didn't realize what I said until my professor pointed it out to me after he stopped crying from laughing.
I get that. I've been there before. I was in a Bible class when I was young, and I was at a Bible camp or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And we were reading Songs of Solomon. I don't know if you were familiar with the Bible, but Songs of Solomon is pretty spicy.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, I saw pomegranate, and I read pornographic instead. I don't know why I did it. I just kind of glanced at it, and I was like, "Her hair smells like pornographic." And then everybody just looked at me like, "Dude, what did you just say?"
Here's one. I was doing a basketball game up in Chicago. I was doing the Proviso West tournament, and I got there late. My broadcast partner had already set everything up, and the first game we're doing goes to double overtime. And the phrase I commonly use when I do basketball is "eat some clock." Well, my partner, yeah, you know where this is going. Well, my partner wanted to express the same thing, and it was his very first call on the air. And he wanted to say "eat some clock," and the L in clock came up missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I busted out laughing. We're live on the air now. I busted out laughing. The poor guy was so embarrassed, and I know how he feels. He starts laughing. As soon as the game's over, he drops his headset, and I pulled him aside and I consoled him. I said, "Look, it's okay. It's okay. We got 7 more games for the day," and he's gone. He's just cracking up laughing. I'm laughing with him, and he looked at me all of a sudden, and he's so embarrassed, and he goes, "I did not mean for that to slip up in front of you." I looked at this young man and I said, "Do you know how many times I've slipped on the air, especially live?" And the whole crew starts laughing.
That's hilarious.
The whole crew starts laughing. Nolan Chislett and I sharing stories about messing up on the air, and this is a real good one. I did a football game in Chicago in Gately Stadium, and there was no heat inside the press box. And we go to double overtime in that game, and I'm shivering. I have only my winter coat with me. There's no blanket. There's no heater. And I thought we had gone to a break. And I said, "Will somebody please bring a blanking heater in here?" And I didn't realize we were still on.
Oh, man. You know, I feel like it's more understandable at that point, though. Mm-hmm. You know, someone hears that and is like, "I bet it's really cold right there."
Yeah, yeah. One of the parents stopped me later, and she was laughing. She says, "Did you really say what you said about the heater?" And I didn't realize until she brought it up to me, and I said, "I am cold, and I'm going to my car. I'm freezing." So, give me your thoughts on this year's NFL playoffs.
Exciting, man. I mean, you know, I love it. I love seeing when like underdog teams come out, and you know, AFC wise, this is the first year the AFC Championship hasn't had Brady, Manning, or who's the other one? Brady, Manning, or
Roethlisberger.
Yeah, Roethlisberger for like the first time in like 20 years or something crazy like that. So I love that. You know, I love seeing the fact that the Titans came in at like 9-7 and they made a run, and you know the Chiefs. You know, my brother's actually a huge Chiefs fan, and you know, for him, I remember about like week 5, week 6 after like Mahomes got hurt, he was at a point where he was just like, all right, we'll just throw the whole season away at this point.
Yeah.
Now look at them. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, I had the same thoughts about the Chiefs. I thought their season was done, and Mahomes but Matt Moore keeps the ship steady. Mahomes comes back, and they're in the Super Bowl. So they're playing some fantastic football right now. On the other side, I said in April, and I more said it out of heart than anything else, that the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl. Do you know how many people thought I was nuts when I said that?
What was the 49ers record at the end of last year? It wasn't too.
They were 4-12.
Oof.
And now they're 13-3. And I'll never forget, I watched a program on NFL Network where they were predicting the 49ers record. They said 3-13.
I remember that. So I assume you probably predicted the season and everything. What was your biggest fail this year on who you predicted to be good and was bad?
Actually, I have two. One being the Chicago Bears, and the other, strangely enough, being the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't think the Cowboys had enough defensively to carry them to another double-digit win season. And they kept getting burned, especially in the secondary. So the secondary is going to be an issue for them. What about you? What do you think was the biggest failure this year?
I had the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North.
Really?
Because I saw a lot of potential there. I mean, they did pretty well last year.
Right.
They had pretty much the same team coming into this year, and the next, oh boy.
Yeah.
It's funny because they had a chance. They were pretty much like a play or two away from being like 4-0 at the beginning of the season.
True.
And then next thing you know, from there, it just went downhill.
They did. And it's so sad that they went downhill. Do you think the Lions move on from Matt Stafford, or do they try again with him next year?
I really just don't think it's Matt Stafford. I think it's a lot more than that,
So what's missing? What's missing for them? What's missing for them offensively, you think?
Management.
You know what? That's what I say. That management needs to change.
Calvin Johnson came out and said that he was kind of talking about it and everything. He said that one of the times he was there, the general manager was just like a friend of the coach or of the owner or something like that. Mm-hmm. The guy had no previous experience, and they just like threw him in there. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? Detroit Lions football literally resembles like the city of Detroit when it comes to like,
it's true.
The personal interest aspect. It's like, that's crazy.
And it's, the Lions fans are like Knicks fans in so many ways because they're so apathetic about their team. It's like, whatever. And the management doesn't see that. And that's sad.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. I mean, they're definitely one of those teams that needs to make it to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah, getting there is one thing. Winning is another. But first, the Lions have to get there. They haven't appeared in an NFC Championship game since, I want to get this right, 1991, when they lost to the Washington Redskins. So they got a lot of humps to clear before they even think about a Super Bowl. Nolan Chislett joining me here on the program, talking all things sports bloopers that he and I have done, and the NAN Sports Talk podcast. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
nansportstalk.libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com. You can find us on Facebook, NAN Sports Talk, Instagram, Twitter. We even got a TikTok.
Someone suggested that I do a TikTok for my show. I just may follow that suggestion. Nolan Chislett joining me. Thanks a lot, my friend.
No, thank you.
More coming up after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Now let me welcome another good friend of mine by the name of William Morgan as we continue our tribute to Kobe and our basketball discussion in general. We'll get to our basketball discussion in just a moment, but first and foremost, my friend, your thoughts on this devastating news about Kobe Bryant.
It really hurts. It hurts me because he's definitely one of the all-time greats who's ever played the game. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He believed in hard work. If you wasn't going to work hard, he didn't want you out there on the floor with them, and I respect that. In terms of accomplishments, the man's a champion, multi-time champion, multiple-time All-Star. It really hurts. He also got a lot of players of today playing ball, be it the LeBron Jameses and so forth. Just a hard, devastating day. And then you come to find out that his daughter was in the helicopter with him. Mm-hmm. Just a hard day. Whew, man, it's tough.
So let's talk some basketball, some old school basketball, and do him some honor. We had planned this conversation a couple days ago because, quite frankly, I am sick and tired of people telling folks like you and me that we don't know our hoops.
Yes.
So I'll begin with this. This. Can we please disband the Oklahoma City Thunder and bring a team back to Seattle? Because Seattle got... look, if we're going to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant, who was one of the last of the old schoolers, we're going to do this the right way with that electric smile of his. Can we please have the Seattle Supersonics back?
I agree. Being from the area in Deering, Washington, I agree.
Can we please have the Seattle Supersonics?
Yes.
Please.
I agree. I'm there with you.
I was just talking to my wife, and she says she hasn't watched basketball in a while, and then the news about Kobe hit, and she said something that you and I both have echoed. Kobe Bryant, as well as the rest of the old schoolers you and I grew up watching, played with a passion.
Exactly. And, I'm glad you said that because that's what makes people stand out. Is that no matter what your field is. I'm gonna bring up a couple of contemporaries while in this. Renee Washington, a young lady who I did fantasy football for this past season. When you see her out there, whether she's doing her own show, whether she's sideline reporting, you see not only her preparation, but you see that energy out there.
Absolutely.
You can tell she really wants to be there. I'll bring up another young lady. I don't know her personally, but we're Facebook friends, and we've gone back and forth on Facebook a little bit. Chelsea Nicole Nelson is another young lady.
She's delightful.
Yes.
She's a delight.
Yes. And the thing about it, the energy that they give to what they do, you see it.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what makes people different from others, is the fact they have the energy, they want to be there, and they project that energy out. And that energy is contagious, and it makes other people want to be there and step up to their level. So, yeah, I'm glad you said that. Because
and you saw it with Kobe for 20 seasons.
Yep.
You saw it with Kobe for 20 years. And you and I have had discussions about a certain player that likes wearing number 23 now, and he didn't originate wearing the number 23. I'm going all the way there. If we're gonna have fun with this and have some smiles like that big smile Kobe always wore for 20 years when he played hoops, then let's go all the way there.
Yes, sir.
It goes like this. Someone told me that LBJ was the greatest forward to ever play the game. Hell, let's go one step further. Ryan Hollins on First Take said LBJ was the greatest player ever, and Shaq shut him down by mentioning MJ and Kobe. Let's start with the forward spot, shall we? Because I can throw some old school forwards out there that did a lot more than he has done. And I know if I got a name in my head right now of a fellow who played the same way, bowled his way to the basket, didn't travel, by the way, and also and he also hit his free throws. Does the name Adrian Dantley mean anything to you?
Oh, Adrian! Oh my goodness! A little undersized, but the man can play. Oh my goodness, the man can play.
Does the name Adrian Dantley mean anything to you?
Yes.
Does the name Alex English mean anything to you? How about if we can just go with just forwards, how about the legendary Charles Barkley?
Yep, exactly.
Somebody that's undersized and played the hell out of the forward position. There you go. How about James Worthy?
Yep. Big game James.
How about James Worthy?
Yep,
okay.
Big game James.
Big game James, and he was called Big Game James for a reason. You want to talk about forwards who actually played their position, aside of all those names I just mentioned, you should recognize this next one. How about Scottie Pippen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How about Scottie Pippen? Okay.
You got no. Let me tell you. You got no better than Scottie because of the fact with Scottie, he played ball on both ends.
He did.
He played, and when you go back and you look at the first Bulls championship, he was the one that kept. I'm not gonna say he completely stopped Magic Johnson,
but he slowed him down.
He slowed
him down.
Let him in check. Yep.
He slowed him down. How about you want? How about a couple? How about some more? How about some more old school forwards? Since we're talking Lakers, Kobe, this is for you. He played with this guy. How about AC Green?
Another AC Green, boy.
How about Mark Aguirre?
Him too. Yep.
How about?
It was a bad ball for the Pistons.
How about Dominique Wilkins? You want to talk about a smooth forward? There you go.
You know what? You know what? I'm still mad because it's very gay at Lenny Wilkins.
Yeah.
Because see, Lenny had a flaw. Lenny put a lot of personal into his team and roster decisions.
Right.
He didn't like Dominique because Dominique went to the club. He wanted somebody who went to church, which is nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to have a basketball team based on that. How do you trade Dominique Wilkins for Danny Manning? Not only did you do that, but you couldn't even find Danny Manning to stay.
Danny Manning wasn't having
that. Yeah.
You want a forward that's done a lot more than LBJ? I interviewed this next guy, Cliff Levingston.
Yep. This is good.
I interviewed Cliff Levingston. All right?
This is good.
And Do we dare bring up Tim Duncan?
Best power forward in the game.
Do we dare bring up a guy who spent most of his career as a center but played a forward for a while? Do we dare bring up Akeem Olajuwon?
The LeBron haters, the LeBron folks don't want to bring him up.
They don't want to bring. They don't want to bring him up. They really don't want to bring him up. Okay,
they don't want to bring him up.
Let's go all the way there. All right, let's go. How about some more old school? How about this name, Bernard King?
Yes, Bernard. Oh my goodness. Oh, Bernard, man.
And we're talking just gold. And folks, we're just talking golden era only from 1979 to 1998. How about this name? And I'm going to put the biggest smile on my wife's face when I say Larry Bird.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell, you can make an argument. You can make an argument that at one point in time he was the best player in basketball.
Yep.
At one point, you can make that argument.
Now we're talking about folks that can. We are talking about forwards that can also shoot. I'm going to put another smile on my wife's face when I say this. When I say this name, talking about shooters, Reggie Miller.
Yep.
Reggie Miller spent his entire 18-year career with the Indiana Pacers. He closed out Market Square Arena and opened up what was then at the time Conseco Fieldhouse. It's now Bankers Life Fieldhouse.
Sure did.
Speaking of the Pacers, since we're talking old school, let's take positions out of the equation. Speaking of the Pacers, Rick Smits. Remember him?
Yep. Love Rick.
And speaking of forwards, speaking of Pacer forwards, I'll go back to 1991. Chuck Person.
I remember Chuck. University of Auburn. I remember Chuck.
Chuck Person, Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, Vern Fleming was their point guard for a while.
Yep, he was.
And I remember him as a Bulls fan, because Reggie Miller and Vern Fleming back in the late '80s used to give us fits.
Yep.
But I loved watching him play.
Yep.
It's one of those. It's one of those kind of. You hate seeing them play against your team, but you love seeing them play. That describes my love-hate relationship with the Boston Celtics because of Larry Bird. With the Lakers, you know that squad, the Showtime Lakers. Mention the Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller, Vern Fleming, Rick Smits, and Rick Smits was something else. Okay.
Yep.
We're doing this in honor of Kobe Bryant, folks. A horrible helicopter crash took he and his daughter's life, but we're pumping life back into the situation, talking some good basketball, because Kobe ushered in not one but two eras, three if you count the Splash Brothers. Three if you count the Splash Brothers. Okay?
Yep.
I mentioned the Seattle Supersonics. There were two forwards on that team that I loved seeing play together. Xavier McDaniel.
I love Xavier.
And Tom Chambers.
Yep.
And Tom Chambers is so underrated, it's not even funny.
And Xavier McDaniel was the dude that was the muscle.
Yep, that he was.
He was the muscle. He was the muscle for that team.
He was the muscle.
Yep.
He was the muscle for Seattle, and then later became the muscle for New York. Speaking of forwards, Charles Oakley. How about that?
I love Charles Oakley back in the day. I was just mad that we traded him for Bill Cartwright. I get it.
Yeah.
The Bulls needed a center at the time, but I don't. Well, wish you could have kept him.
I wish we could have kept him too, but I believe it would have stunted the Bulls' growth. I understand why they traded him, but I love Charles Oakley.
I do too.
But I do understand why they made the move, and why it paid off.
And plus, too, if they would have kept Charles, they probably would have never drafted Horace Grant.
This is true. And Horace and Scotty would have never meshed, or never gotten a chance. Speaking of forwards, why did I not mention this name? He finished his career as a guard, but he was a forward for most of his career. How can I forget Julius Erving?
Yeah. He started out as a small forward, but he ended up at guard. You're right.
He finished his career as a guard, but he was a forward for many years.
I'm gonna tell you another name. And this dude is underrated too.
Hit me.
You remember Reggie Theus?
Oh my God, yes. Out of UNLV.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
people
underrated. I got another one. He spent some time in Sacramento. He finished his career in Indiana. LaSalle Thompson.
Yeah. I brings back the days.
LaSalle Thompson.
I still have his basketball card somewhere around here.
Nice. Here's a forward that Kobe played with. This is Kobe. This is for you. Here's a forward that Kobe played with that I loved watching him mesh together with, Pau Gasol.
Yep. Love Paul, big man that can shoot, rebound, bring the ball up a little bit. I like Paul Gasol.
Yeah.
Yep.
But since we're
I don't
talking,
like the way they got.
Yeah.
I don't like the way the Lakers got him. Box of cookies and Kwame Brown. What other than that?
God. Kwame Brown. Let's move on. I mentioned. Let's move on. We're doing this for laughs because Kobe loved to laugh, so that's how we're tying all this in. I mentioned bring back the Seattle SuperSonics and disband the Thunder. Can we? I'm going to get some pushback for this. But can we also, just for name's sake only, can we also have the Washington Bullets? I understand. Now, I say that with a preface. I understand why they changed the name. At the time they changed the name because there was a lot of violence going on. I get that. I understand that. But didn't Washington Bullets just roll off the tongue?
It sounded better than the Wizards, and it gave them a little bit of toughness too.
Yes.
Now you look at them and it's like, duh. I love Bradley Beal. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I love
absolutely.
John Wall. I love John Wall when he's healthy.
Yeah, when he's healthy,
he's very good.
That's the problem.
When he's healthy, he's very good.
When he's healthy.
Yep.
But it was just something. It was just something about saying Washington Bullets, and I've been known on this program to mess up purposely. Instead of saying Washington Wizards, saying Washington Bullets.
it just gives an air of toughness that they don't have on the Wizards.
They don't. They really don't. Now let's move to let's talk some point guards, shall we? Because I know two that played on the same team for a year, and then one got traded. They kept the other. One of them is Mark Price. The other is Kevin Johnson.
Another Kevin Johnson. Move Kevin to Phoenix.
Yep. They were both members of the Cleveland Cavaliers for a while.
Yep, sure was.
They kept Price and they moved KJ, and it was the smartest move they did in moving KJ to Phoenix.
Yep, it was because they helped Phoenix evolve at the time.
It did.
And while the Cavs stayed relevant as well. So, yeah, that was a good move. Good move for both teams.
And Mark Price used to give us fits.
Bruh,
you know how
I
Steph
hated Mark Price.
you know how Steph comes off those screens and just unleashes jump shots. Mark Price was doing it first. Okay.
Yeah, I hated Mark Price, and I hated Craig Elo because they both played. Oh, they played the most consistent ball I have ever seen in my life. I hated those guys. Oh.
In the late 80s, anybody that was a Bulls fan in the late 80s, we hated going to Detroit. We hated going to Cleveland. In many ways, we hated going to Indiana because they had more talent than us at the time. And talking about the late 80s.
Yep.
You know what? Mark Price used to kill us. Mark Price used to kill us. And you know my favorite basketball announcer was that of Jim Durham. I remember one school night I got a chance to watch the Bulls play the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Richfield Coliseum. How's that for old school? The Richfield Coliseum. And I remember this sequence by Jim Durham. John Paxson had just split a pair of free throws. It was we were down 6. And I remember listening, and I'm doing some homework, and I hear Harper on the move around a Nance screen. Price launches a 3. Good from the right side. This game is over. And I turned off the radio. I turned off the radio.
What?
As soon as I hear Jim Durham say Price launches a 3, I turned off the radio because you knew it was in.
Yep. Very good shooter. Very good ball handler.
Yes.
Can shoot from almost any spot on the floor. He wasn't the best defender, but at least he did try to play defense. And, you know, at the end of the day, you had to respect the man because he brought it every game.
He did. He
didn't get a chance to go to the championship, but still a very good player, and definitely worth tonight being the star of this old school special.
And you want to hear some more old school point guards? How about John Stockton?
Woo!
How about Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yep.
How about Dennis Johnson?
I'm gonna tell you, I love the rivalry when you saw Golden State and Utah play Tim Hardaway versus John Stockton. I love that little rivalry.
Tim Hardaway, another one. Tim Hardaway.
Yep.
One of the original Warriors when I was growing up watching.
That UTEP two-step wasn't no joke, boy.
No, it wasn't. And Kevin Johnson was no joke with Phoenix.
He wasn't. He really wasn't. He helped that team. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, I think that Phoenix team would have won a title. I really do. That Phoenix team was talented. That's when you had KJ,
Barkley.
And I really think they would have won a title.
Yep. That, which brings to mind a quote from one Chauncey Billups. There's a guard for you. Chauncey Billups. Mr. Big Shot himself.
Tough nose. Wasn't scared of the moment at all.
Was not frightened at all.
Wasn't the fastest point guard, but his game was never predicated off speed to begin with.
Nope.
Tough defender, just tough, hard-nosed player, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chauncey Billups said, and I'm paraphrasing, when Michael Jordan was in the league, nobody won a championship with him playing. When the Bulls rose to power in 1991, nobody won a championship on his watch. With LeBron, everybody's winning championships on his watch.
And don't forget, too, he couldn't guard little J.J. Barea either. He couldn't guard him.
Couldn't guard Jason Terry.
Was taking it, boy. Little J.J. Barea.
He couldn't guard Jason Terry. And Jason Terry lit him up like a Christmas tree. Jason Terry lit him up.
Exactly.
That wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen with Kobe.
Nope.
Guarantee you that wouldn't happen with Kobe because Kobe didn't play that.
Sure wouldn't.
Kobe would not play that at all.
Nope.
He wouldn't have that on his watch. That's one thing I loved about Kobe. One thing I love about MJ, Kobe, the other guys that we mentioned, they don't play that. They don't. They really don't. And you have to remember, when I speak of the golden era, 1979 to 1998, that's when you had the most all-stars come through that era. And nothing against what happened before that era, nothing against it at all. I mean, hell, Bill Russell's the greatest winner. 11 championships.
11 titles.
Tom Heinsohn has 8.
Yep.
Okay? Robert Horry has 7. Okay, not Tom Heinsohn. Casey Jones has 8. Okay? A player and a coach. All right?
And a coach.
Bill Russell went out as a champion. He was a player coach. 1969.
Yep.
And he went out as a champion.
Bill Russell doesn't really get the due that he deserves.
He really doesn't. And I hate the fact that he doesn't. Magic Johnson said it best. And I'll never forget what Magic said. Michael Jordan is the greatest player. Bill Russell's the greatest winner.
There you go.
You can't make it any plainer than that. Because you got to admit, when we started watching basketball and Michael Jordan showed up in 1984, we got spoiled fast.
We did. Real fast.
We got
real fast.
We got spoiled. We got spoiled with the Showtime Lakers, Bird, McHale, and Robert Parrish. All right. Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, and Andrew Toney. And yes, I'm mentioning Andrew Toney in this conversation.
Ain't no wrong with that. They won that title.
And who doesn't how can you forget Andrew Toney on that 83 Sixer team that was coached by one of the best in Billy Cunningham?
Yep, exactly. That title they won was legit too.
Yeah, it was. Oh, you want a forward that's better than LeBron? That should be, and I believe he is in the Hall of Fame. How about from that 83 Sixer team? I'll throw this name at you, and I know I'm going to get a smile from you when I say his name, Bobby Jones.
Oh, I remember Bobby.
Number 24. That's for Kobe also, because Kobe wore 24. Number 24 for the 76ers, Bobby Jones.
Yep, I remember Bobby.
You can't go wrong with Bobby Jones, man.
You can't.
I mean, of course, there's some of the ones from the later stages. Mention Karl Malone from the Utah Jazz. Mention Bernard King, spent time in Washington and in New York. How about this name? Former net turned Blazer, Buck Williams.
But don't get the respect he deserves. He with him, Drexler, Porter,
Here's a forward that doesn't get the respect he deserves. How about Terry Cummings?
You know what? you got me on that one.
How about Terry Cummings?
Terry was good. He was really good. What he lacked, maybe in athleticism in his later years.
And he couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy. That was the problem. I love Terry Cummings.
Yeah, when he was in his prime, he was really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Oh, here's a forward for you from those Bucks teams. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. Do you remember a fellow by the name of Paul Pressey?
Yep, I remember Paul. Mm-hmm.
And how about Jack Sikma? Remember him?
Both of them. Mm-hmm.
And remember, Sikma was in Seattle for the longest time.
Yeah.
Sikma was in Seattle for the longest time. Then he got traded to Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And the one thing he lacked in Seattle, he developed in Milwaukee, and that was a jump shot.
Yep.
Because how the hell can you explain him shooting threes later in his career? That extended his career by another 4 years because he could shoot.
Yep. That's what made AC Green so viable, because he perfected that baseline jumper.
The baseline jumper, absolutely. That's what made James Worthy. That's what made James Worthy viable as well. He developed a jump shot. Alex English, he developed a jump shot.
Yep.
Mark Aguirre, same thing. And while I'm talking old Mavericks and old Lakers and old Sonics as well, how about Sam Perkins?
Sam was good. Sam was good.
How about Sam Perkins? How about Robert Reed from the Rockets?
You don't went back. I don't went back. Oh my goodness, you don't went back to the days. Oh.
Robert Reed.
Oh man. Hit the
How many times have you seen Robert Reed hit that baseline jumper for Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
How about Kevin McHale?
Oh, that's an automatic too. You put him on that low block, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Shaq couldn't even stop him.
Nope.
Shaq couldn't even stop him.
Nope. Shaq couldn't even come up with a way to stop him. AC Green neither.
And the thing with Kevin McHale, he will always take an elbow from whatever arm so he can get that separation.
So he can get the separation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why they call it a torture chamber. That's why they call it a torture chamber. I wouldn't want to guard him. Automatic too. You hit it, you put him on that next to low block or on that low block. It's done.
Automatic too.
It's done. It's done.
Nobody.
Nope.
And I'm trying to go back. Barkley couldn't stop him. Mahorn could. Nobody.
Rick Mahorn. Thank you for that name, Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn.
Even Mahorn couldn't stop him. If Mahorn couldn't stop him, it was done.
Nope. It was done. It was done. It was the reason why the Celtics was hard to beat back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of old school Celtics, the fellow that backed up Kevin McHale. Remember Fred Roberts?
Yep, I remember Fred. He had a few big games for him. I remember that. He had some big games. He had some big games for the Celtics.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And then he later played for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Then he later played for the Bucks.
Yep, he did.
We're having a great time. We're having a great time talking. Yeah, we are. We're having a great time talking old school, paying our tribute to Kobe Bryant with some of the players that we mentioned. William Morgan, the host of the Sports Report, here with me. And while I'm thinking about it, since we're just jumping all over with different positions and different players, I don't even have to mention Michael Jordan.
Nah, you ain't got to mention him. Nah.
I don't have to mention the fellow who originated wearing number 23.
If you look at Michael, and I'm glad you brought him up because Kobe's game was patterned after him.
Yes.
Maybe not his personality or his mentality but his game was patterned after Mike. And the one thing about Michael, everybody keeps saying the one knock against Michael was his assist totals. But the thing with me is you have to remember, you didn't want Michael Jordan bringing the ball up the floor. You had Scottie Pippen bringing the ball up the floor. So let's not forget that. And if you put that in context, Scottie would bring it up, give it to Michael, and then from that point forward, particularly when it was a crunch time, Michael just took over. Just took over. And Michael was legit 6'6".
Yes. Yeah, Mike was 6'6". Scotty 6'7". What are you going to do against that pair? A little Kobe Bryant tribute. We go back to 2002, 2003. One of the greatest Kobe Bryant games I ever watched. They're playing the Dallas Mavericks, and they were down by 30. And this is courtesy of ESPN, the NBA, and the Lakers. This is the final sequence. And this is Mike Tirico on the call.
The Brian Shaw guy you normally wouldn't be concerned about, but he's hit 2 in a row, so you better be cognizant of where that veteran is. In Kobe's hands, 8 to go. Bryant's had an unbelievable quarter. He spins, he shoots. Lakers lead! Timeout Mavs! 8.4 to go!
They won that game 105-103. That was the game winner. Mike Tirico on the call. Wow. This is what's missing in the NBA. Here it is again, folks.
Better be cognizant of where that veteran is. In Kobe's hands, 8 to go. Bryant's had an unbelievable quarter. He spins, he shoots. Lakers lead! Timeout Mavs! 8.4 to go!
This is when the NBA changed for me. This season, 2002-2003. And I hate saying it like that because it just went down after that as far as I'm concerned. Am I saying the wrong thing here?
No, I don't think so. I just think the way kids after that point looked at the game changed. I think that when kids looked at the game, they looked at it from a superficial standpoint.
Right.
I want to be able to dunk. I want to be able to shoot the three. But the thing that wasn't so sexy for them to learn after that point, that generation had, was the fundamentals.
Right. And say that word again for me, please. Say that word again. Fundamentals. I'm sorry, did you say fundamentals was missing in today's NBA?
Yes.
I've been saying that for years, and it's the truth. Matter of fact, let me go back to 2004, since we're paying tribute to Kobe with an old school conversation. This is Game 2, NBA World Championship Series 2004. Doc Rivers and Al Michaels on the call, clip courtesy of ABC and the NBA. Detroit 89, Lakers 86. We're at the Staples Center. 8 seconds left, clock running, and then this happened.
And everyone is paying attention to Kobe Bryant.
They start with Shaq. He gives it to Walton. Here comes Kobe. Less than 5 from way outside. Got it! Oh, man! With 2.1.
And the Staples Center exploded.
You know what? A lot of these guys who were also calling the games needs to be respected too, because there's a few guys I like. I like Doc Rivers on the call.
Yeah, Doc Rivers was fantastic. Doc Rivers was fantastic.
I thought Mike Fratello wasn't bad either.
Oh, the czar, the telestrator. Can't go wrong with him. But like I said, I'm kind of spoiled.
Yeah,
I've been spoiled because the voice you're about to hear was the voice from my childhood when it came to watching and listening to the Chicago Bulls. We go back to 1987, and I know I'm dating myself here, but I don't care. Anyone who knows me, and I'm trying to get the clip up here, anyone who knows me or knows of me knows I love this voice.
Sports Arena. A sold-out L.A. Sports Arena as the Bulls visit the Los Angeles Clippers. Good evening, everyone. Jim Durham with Johnny Kerr here in Los Angeles. The Bulls trying to halt a
Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr.
They're coming off their sixth
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it was Sports Vision.
Yep.
When it was Sports Vision, not Sports Channel, because Sports Channel hadn't migrated to Chicago yet. It was Sports Vision.
Yep. Exactly.
As a matter of fact, let me find a clip where Jim Durham called a Kobe Bryant shot. I think that would be fitting for us to close this segment. And if I find it, I'm going to set the table for you guys. The year was 2002. It was the Western Conference Finals between the Kings and the Lakers, and I'm going to have a Kings fan on here in a little bit. Yeah, you know the clip I'm going for.
Yep.
You know the clip I'm going for. You know the clip I'm. Let me see if I can find it. And I don't want the NBC clip. I want the clip where Jim Durham called it for ESPN Radio.
Ooh.
I want to find that clip. And I'm going to try my best to find it.
Mm.
Actually, Robert Horry hit that game winner. Kobe just set it up.
He just set it up for him.
Yeah,
it was Robert Horry, I believe.
There it is. Yeah, Robert Horry hit the game. Robert Horry hit the game-winning three. Why am I thinking Kobe? Why am I thinking Kobe Bryant hit it? Because Kobe set him up. Because Kobe set him up. That's why. I think this is the NBC call. We're gonna find out here in a moment. William Morgan.
7 seconds. Bryant putting a move on Christie. Rebound O'Neal.
Yeah. I'll have to find it another time. I gotta let you go. I got some more guests coming on here, but William Morgan joining me as we pay homage to Kobe Bean Bryant with a lot of old school conversation. Y'all will hear this on my NBA podcast as well, and you'll hear this conversation in its entirety. Man, I cannot, for such a horrible circumstance as the NBA world losing one Kobe Bryant, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and talking some old school sports, some old school NBA, paying homage to Kobe and paying homage to the old school. I can't thank you enough for coming on, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Anytime. Rest in peace, Kobe. Rest in peace.
We got more after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
An NBA legend and one of his daughters is gone. They were killed in a helicopter crash. And the NBA legend that is gone, and I hate to say his name, is Kobe Bean Bryant. And normally I begin with one of my monologues, but I think today it would just be right to have most of the folks that I know throughout the course of the week, at least for like the first hour, share their thoughts on one Kobe Bryant. And Yes, this is Super Bowl week, but I'm also declaring this Mamba week in honor of the Black Mamba. Let me welcome Terry Little of the Common Sense Show TV. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
I
feel you.
I thought this was the cruelest of pranks that you could ever play on somebody.
Yeah.
And then instead of it having it being confirmed that it's a prank, it was confirmed that it's too damn real.
Yeah.
This is so tough. So tough to put into words. I'm going to allow you the floor to do so. How? Just how?
That's a good question, brother. Listen, when I was sitting at my computer and I was putting entries into my book that I'm writing, and a group text that I'm in was like, let's speak to Kobe. It's and I was like, Kobe who? That's the first thing I said, and it was like Bryant, go look at the news or whatever. I looked at the news and I was like, no, this is a hoax, because they're always doing celebrity hoaxes. And so when I read the first article, I still didn't believe it. And then because I don't always trust TMZ. That's after we broke the story.
Yeah.
I don't always trust them. And so, but when I went to ESPN, they were airing the Pro Bowl, and one of the announcers confirmed it. And I was like, oh my goodness. First it was Kobe, and then it was, the next story I heard was all four of his daughters. And then I heard it was Gianna, his oldest daughter. And I was like, can this get any worse? But, you never ask that question, because normally when you ask that question, it does.
You really don't want an answer to that question.
You really don't. You really don't.
The way I found out, I was at work yesterday, and we were talking basketball. I mean, we were bringing up all the legends, and we just literally spoke about Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
And no more than 20 minutes later, this news pops up, and I said, "This is not right. This is a joke." And then I saw the cover. Someone had showed me the online cover of the New York Post, and my heart just dropped.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I almost canceled my appearance today. I was like, I couldn't even get myself together for a sec. And my wife comes in, and she said, "Babe, you okay?" She came home from church, and she was like, "Babe, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay, but I'm not." And I told her what happened, and she was like, "Kobe Bryant, the basketball player?" I said, "Yeah, about the basketball player." And so I was just in this funk, and I'm standing here in my backyard talking to you, and I'm like, it's cloudy here where I am.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a fitting situation.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
when the news dropped, I'm walking out of work, and I'm going. I just kept saying my soul hurts.
Yeah.
And my wife saw the look on my face, and she says, she says, "Honey, what's wrong?" I said, "Kobe Bryant has died." And her face dropped. She went, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
So many people. I think this is going to be the course of my show for the next couple of days. Not to say I won't get into any Super Bowl coverage or have some great interviews, because I will, but when you get something this devastating, you and I have watched his entire 20-year career, 20 years.
Yeah. 20 years. I remember when he first got drafted by the Hornets.
Yes.
Now, I'm from Charlotte. So we as a franchise was hurt because he didn't want to come here.
Right.
We went out to L.A. and all the accomplishments, the championships, the beef with him and Shaq, all that stuff, them making up, and just the sheer greatness that was Kobe. I mean,
yes.
and now he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, it's hard, man. But let's do this. Let's not forget the other 8 victims. We talking.
Right.
I mean, I know the sports world is rocked by the loss of Kobe, but think about the loss of his oldest daughter that was with him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine his wife? Can you imagine what the pain she's going through right now? Not only do you lose your husband, you lose your oldest daughter. So the cloud is over the whole family, and I'm praying for the whole family.
I am also.
And everybody that was close to Kobe. It's devastating, but even in this tragedy, this is where we look into our own lives.
Yes.
And we say, can I forgive whoever? Can I let go of whatever?
Yeah.
I did a show, my personal show that is the Common Sense Show.
Yes.
I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about letting go because life's too short.
It is.
People don't really care. And so it's tragic that we have to bring this back up. But if you are listening to this, and I'm sure you got a following and people are listening, listen, whatever you got going in your life, do a self-examination. And if you got things or people in your life that you need to let go of, because tomorrow is not promised. The Bible says the man does not know the hour or the minute that his name will be called. You just don't know. Forgive those people.
Yeah.
Forgive the situation, let them go. Let's live our life. That's what Kobe did.
That's exactly what he did.
It's tragic. It's tragic to lose him. But you best believe that man lived his life. And so we're going to celebrate him. It hurts. It stings. As fans and as people and as men, it stings.
It does.
But that man lived his life, and we should too.
The one thing I really can identify with his wife Vanessa is losing a child, because I lost my daughter when she was 2.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
You were one of the first people to send me a message, and I'll never forget it when your message said, Kobe can't be gone. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, can't be.
And it's like you said, as fans and as men, a self-examination is necessary on a daily basis. Something my wife has taught me and she has continued to teach me is to be glad for every day.
Right.
And the probably the most shocking thing of all, and I have to let you go here in a minute because there's a line of people that I know wanting to chime in.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
And I will, something I'm going to do, I'm going to find both of his jersey numbers in a picture, and it's going to be reflected on my social media for this week, because this is Mamba Week here inside Snowman Digital Media. This is Mamba Week, okay?
Yep. That it is.
Kobe was only 41.
Yep.
41.
Crazy.
He was just getting started in his retirement. He had the Mamba Academy. He had a wonderful. Can't believe I'm saying had. I can't believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's rough. Listen.
Yeah.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna hush after this right here. But you hear the old saying, give me my flowers while I'm living.
Yes.
You heard that old statement?
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what he got to do. People were able to give him his flowers while he was living. When he went his last season in the NBA, he got the last tour, or whatever they call that, when they do the last year. And so they gave him his flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So give people their flowers while they're living. There's so many lessons to be taught in this tragedy. But give me my flowers while I'm still here. I can enjoy them and smell them.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make a difference to, that you give me a bunch of flowers and laying beside my casket. I can't enjoy those.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his, and LA is showing out. I don't know if you saw that picture of.
Oh, I saw.
I think it was in the front of the Staples Center.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The only thing.
That's life, y'all.
The only thing that will top that will be all the fans that'll be in front of the United Center. And I don't even have to put a name to that.
Yep.
And I don't think.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Terry Little, the man in charge of the Common Sense Show TV. I wish this was under better circumstances, and it will be next week when we do the full interview, when we do the full 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
But thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Man. Yes, sir. And you have a great one.
More on our tributes to Kobe Bryant in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. We are doing our what's going to wind up being a week-long tribute to Kobe Bryant, and I had William Morgan on. We mentioned a lot of old school names in his honor and talked some basketball. I now welcome Cole Johnson, the man in charge of Cole Sports, and I give you the floor first, my friend.
Yeah, well, where to begin? I mean, the dude was a basketball ingenue. I mean, we saw his greatness, his boldness, all the way back to, the 1997 playoffs, 98 playoffs, I'm sorry, when he shot those air balls and people were teasing him, but it was more of a lesson for him. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And then we saw his dogmatic personality and temperament just permeate the rest of his career, and he just had this will, this will of, you just aren't going to outwork me. And I mean, things about him were legendary. The fact that, people would think that they would be at the gym like 5 a.m, and they would get there and the dude is dripping in sweat because he's already worked out for 2 hours.
Yep.
Or the fact that he would just do shot after shot after shot and work on his game every single year and work at different parts of his game.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what, if it was playoff disaster on the field or drama with the team or his rape trial in Colorado, he had this persevering spirit. He just persevered, and no matter what, it just always shone through. And then when he retired 4 years back, we got a chance to see the man behind the maniacal focus that he had. That this guy had a sense of humor, and he was reflective, and he was sensitive.
Yeah.
And then we hear what we hear today, on Sunday, and man,
it hurts.
It hurts a lot. I mean, this dude hasn't even got a chance to be in the Hall of Fame yet. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion, but I was waiting for it. And he would have been available to be in the Hall of Fame next year, and I was looking forward to that speech.
So was I. So was I.
Now we won.
I looked forward to Michael's speech, Magic Johnson. I looked forward to Kobe's speech for the Hall of Fame, and now it won't even happen. This is so heartbreaking. I mean, you mentioned the perfect term, maniacal focus, and it was maniacal, but you saw him off the floor after he retired, and that weight was lifted off of his back. And you saw how he and Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm so happy for this, made up in a 40-minute interview, and I watched every minute of that interview, and I saw tears were flowing because these were two brothers in battle.
Yeah, I saw that same interview too, and it was, it was interesting how that would not be the guy then.
Yes.
But the telling story was after they won their championship, their first championship in 2000, Shaq was like, look, I had the idea of, well, not idea, I had the mentality of I can just go ahead and rest. And he said, and that just pissed, Kobe, that just pissed me off. Because his mindset was, I want to crush everybody at all times.
Yep.
I don't care if it's July. I don't care if this is the off season. I want us to be focused on the next championship, if it's not this one, starting the day after the parade. And and he was only at that time 21.
Yes.
And he
was 21.
He had that I want to slit your throat mentality.
Kind of reminds you of another legend, doesn't it?
And to always poke fun at a Kobe fan, I always say, look, I have mad respect for Kobe.
Yes,
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're ever going to ask me and compare which one of the two though I like more, look, Kobe on his own did great things. Jordan, of course, on his own did great things too.
Yes.
And I said, look, there is no question that Kobe patterned a lot of his game after number 23 in the Bulls jersey. I say, if you're going to ask me to take which one I'm going to take the original because I don't do clones. But if ever there was a guy who could have, I guess, made the passing of Jordan's career into retirement easier to handle, it was him.
Yes.
It was him. And we got a chance for the following 13 years after Jordan's retirement, just to really understand the greatness of Jordan, because here's the greatness of this guy. So great that he had 2 numbers for a team retired.
Yes.
I mean, that's just how great he is.
And he ended his career with a 60-point game. And the way his teammates celebrated around him, you would think they'd won a championship. But that's how you go out. But that's how you go out. That's exactly how you go out.
20th year, normally it's like, okay, bit minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You may see a greatest hit every now and then with him. You may see a drive down the hole for a dunk. You may see a fade away. You may see one of those fancy passes that he would throw every now and then.
Yep.
You may see a chase down block, which he did every now and then himself.
He did.
You saw all of that in that final game, and it was just amazing to me. I was like, this guy, you would think he would rethink retiring. That's how good he looked, and that's how good he was all throughout his career.
Absolutely.
He was just so stellar, you know what I mean? And it was just excellence on display every time you saw him. And I remember like a year ago, I had to go back and remind myself of the greatness of one Kobe Bryant, and I would see, and I think if I'm not mistaken, it was like a 5-minute clip of final shots he took and hit. Not even thinking about the final shots he took and missed. The final shots he took and hit. That was like 5 minute long.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Footage. I'm thinking, doggone, this man was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And then once he retired, we saw the passion, we saw the emotion, and then we saw the other parts of humanity come to floor. Like, the guy spoke fluent Italian.
Yep.
And we knew that he grew up in Italy, but we didn't know how extensive Italy was. And we learned in his retirement, oh man, that dude flows.
Yes.
in all things Italian. Speaks it fluently. And other stories came that not only he spoke Italian, he spoke Spanish when Paul Gasol was a team of his. And he spoke, I forgot the guy, but he spoke Slovenian. I'm thinking, how in the world?
Slava Medvedenko.
Yeah, Slava Medvedenko. Learned guy, intelligent guy, along with the fact that this dude was an on the court savage.
He was a killer. He was a killer on the basketball court. He was a man off it. With his family, and I'll never forget that last night where they celebrated him at the Staples Center. His wife, his daughters were all there, and 20,000 people chanting his name. The clip I'm going to play right now, I introduced this earlier. This is courtesy of ABC. I want to get all the courtesies out. This is courtesy of ABC. The year was 2004. The opponent was the Detroit Pistons. Game 2 of the World Championship Series, and this happened.
O'Neal, and of course Bryant.
And everyone is paying attention to Kobe Bryant.
They start with Shaq. He gives it to Walton. Here comes Kobe. Less than 5 from way outside. Got it! Oh, man! With 2.1.
Oh, to be there in person for that one.
I was thinking about that clip, and the one thing that just rang true to me is, man, a lot more about a person in defeat than in victory. And here, that was the first of his 2 defeats he took at the highest level.
Yep.
And the dude just was like, I'm going to do it.
And he took those losses 4 years apart. 2004 against the Pistons, 2008 against the Boston Celtics.
He just had that mentality. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win that brass ring, and I'm going to do this. If I had to do this without the guy who was considered the most dominant player of that era, then I'm going to do it. I actually would prefer to do it that way.
And he did it twice.
And then, and people were trying to label him that he didn't have it in him, that he needed someone like Shaq to win chips, and in between the 2004-2008 seasons, the dude went on I think it was 2006, he went on a scoring tear, marked by the 81-point performance against the Raptors.
2006.
He just wowed you with everything that he had in him. Almost brought the team back from 3-1 deficit in the playoffs. I mean, and that's just in between the 2003 championship and the 2009 championship. And it just let you know that this guy was a straight up champion, no matter what you thought of him, no matter how you tried to down him or slice him, no matter how you dissected this game, the dude was a champion from the word go. And the championship he won in 2009. That's when I had my total respect for him.
Yeah.
Just go all the way up to the top. Where I said, you know what? Whatever this guy does, I don't care what anyone says negative about him. You can't say anything to dude. He's seen it all, and he's done it all. He won being the Robin. He won being the Batman now.
Yep.
And and he's done it in a way that all you could do is respect it.
He did it for 20 years.
2 decades strong, man. 2 decades strong. And no matter what lesson you taught him, he learned it, he adapted, and he never made the same mistake twice. And it was amazing to see how he grew.
The mistake he made in 2008, losing the World Championship Series, led to 2 more titles, 2009 and 2010.
Faced the same team that gave him that 2008 loss, showed him the door in 2010.
Yep.
And, it just goes to show, man, how determined he was, how intelligent he was, how insightful he was. And then the label on the rap he got, being a bad teammate, I always thought that was faulty from the word jump.
Mm-hmm.
Because how could that be when you would see, and Jordan got the same rap.
Yeah, he
how
did.
Could that be?
He did.
How can that be when the goal for any player, whether you're the number 1 player or number 15,
is to win it all?
Chip.
Is to win it all.
And I know Kobe would be the type to do everything possible for you to help him win it all. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad teammate to me.
You know something?
And then when you
talk about you talk about the rap that MJ got for being a bad teammate. You know who could either confirm or dispel that rumor, and he wound up dispelling it? Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Mm-hmm.
Hell, John Paxson, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
4 years earlier, Steve Kerr dispelled that rumor because if MJ was a bad teammate, why was MJ trusting Steve Kerr to knock down a 15-footer to win the title?
I was about to say, not just a regular, everyday 15-footer.
A championship clinching 15-footer. As the shot
one that
clock,
gave him championship number 5. Yep.
As the shot clock went dead.
And you remember, before the time, in the timeout, he got together with Kerr and said,
if Stockton leaves,
it looks like if Stockton leaves, be prepared. That ball's coming your direction.
And
knowing
Steve,
that.
And Steve Kerr said, I'll knock it out. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
To me, that's the basketball savant that I see. And that's why I can't say, okay, well, he's a bad teammate. No, they're not.
You know who could dispel that rumor in Kobe Bryant's favor? Ron Artest. 2010.
And have on many different occasions.
Yep,
mm-hmm.
2010, Game 7. Kobe couldn't get anything going, so he finds Ron Artest, and Ron Artest bangs home a 3 to essentially clinch the title.
Yeah. And Kobe, and that's the thing, Kobe, the shot wasn't falling. What did he do? Okay, well, hey, I'm not getting the points. He ended up getting 21. I said, I'm not getting the points. Well, I'm going to rebound, play defense, and third dimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's Kobe to me. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect game.
Yep.
If you want to ask me, how do I think of Kobe in terms of his game? Game 7, 2010 NBA Finals / World Championship Series.
Yep.
His full game wasn't on.
No, it wasn't.
What we know him best is scoring. The shots weren't falling, but he didn't like how some people in today's game just says, okay, well, the shots aren't falling, I'm going to continue to shoot them. No, shots weren't falling. So, okay, how can I impact the team in other ways besides scoring?
How can I help us win? How can I help us get through the final 2 minutes and get us to that title?
And he hit a big-time shot down the stretch, too, in that game.
He really did.
But his mindset was, I don't care if I have to score 40. I don't care if I have to do 10 dimes. I don't care if I have to do 10 assists. I don't care if it's 10 rebounds. I don't care if it's 5 steals. Any way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Kobe to me. That's Kobe. That game, it wasn't the beautiful drive down the post with a dunk. It wasn't the fadeaway that we know him to have. It wasn't a running jumper. It was just to grind it out, do whatever I have to do to get this chip.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a grind out game. It was indeed a grind out game.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the game we're talking about. ABC/ESPN did the broadcast. This is Game 7, 2010. and Rasheed Wallace had just hit a 3 to cut it to 3. Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, and Jeff Van Gundy on the call.
So good at designing plays out of timeout. Great patience by Pierce, allowing the play to develop. Rasheed Wallace has made some huge plays tonight. Coming up on a minute remaining. Bryant looking. Artest, that's a 3. Bang!
And the crowd explodes. This was a grind-out final. It was a grind-out championship series.
The whole series was a grind-out, yeah.
It was a grind-out series. But that right there illustrates players like Kobe, like MJ, that trust their teammates. Trust their teammates. It's crazy that there's hardly any trust in teammates anymore. But Kobe would be the first to tell you he trusted his teammates.
You know, and like I said, that game right there.
Game 7.
Yeah. If there were any time that he would say, you know what, nobody's shooting but me, that would be the game. But that's not the attitude he took.
Mm-mm.
And so, you know, to me, like I said, the 2009 championship, that was one of those where I said, you can't say anything bad to me about Kobe. That one, I was like, if I had to pick a game that describes Kobe Bryant to me, it's that one.
Yeah. And that's
like, that's the one game.
And that's there's not much more that can be said, folks. Cole Johnson joining me as we continue our tribute to Kobe Bryant. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, man. Thank you for the time. Wow.
Yeah. Got more coming up in just a little bit. Stick around, folks.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
I welcome Mike Debate of Full Press Coverage to help break this down. We got about a week's worth of stuff to break down. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great, my friend. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to join you here on a Friday morning, and can't think of a better way to head into the weekend than talking some Super Bowl 54 and your San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs and the 49ers are going to be a fantastic matchup. As I mentioned, we officially will start the breakdown now. But before we get to that, a retirement has taken place. Eli Manning has called it a career after 16 years with the New York Football Giants, and you can say what you want about the numbers not being Hall of Fame worthy. That's bogus. I believe Eli is Hall of Fame worthy.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with you. Look, there's an old standard with Hall of Fames, and not just NFL either. I mean, you take a look at, you know, the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and you take a look at the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, and of course the Pro Football Hall of Fame, hockey, you name it. There's usually a standard where you take a look at a player and say, okay, well, if he was a dominant player in his generation for at least a few seasons, then he has the right to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Well, I think there's a lot of ways that you could define dominant player. You look at the seasons that Eli had in 2007 and in 2011, and you know those are painful memories for me to bring up here, my friend. But you have to give credit where credit is due. Eli was phenomenal in both of those seasons. In each of those Super Bowls, Eli made two of the greatest throws I've ever seen any quarterback make. Not just Eli for himself, but any quarterback. The completion to David Tyree still hurts me to this day, Brian, but it was an amazing throw. He was able to evade the defender, and he was able to have the presence of mind to get the ball downfield and find an open man. The throw to Manningham, to me, I think is a hallmark to me in 2011. To me, that is the greatest throw I've ever seen Eli make, and one of the greatest throws I've ever seen any quarterback make. To me, on those merits alone, he's a Hall of Famer. But you take a look at the road he used to get to those 2 Super Bowls, the runs that the Giants went on. These were teams that did not necessarily wow the competition during the regular season. Finished strong, sputtered a little bit early on in the season, and a lot of people didn't think in both of those seasons that the Giants would make much headway. They did. They strung together wins at the right time, and they played and they peaked at the right time. And one of the big reasons why is they were led by Eli Manning. So you look at the statistics, yes, middle of the road sometimes, passing yards, touchdowns. He still ranks fairly high. Some of that is, based on longevity. 117 record, 117 and 117, 500. I guess very fitting for Eli's legacy. But in terms of what he did in the postseason and how dominant he was in those 2 seasons that the Giants won the Super Bowl, I don't think there's any question. He deserves to be enshrined, and I believe he will be. I believe he will get into camp.
Well, on the second of those 2 Giants Super Bowl wins under Eli Manning, he had to go through my 49ers, and he took the 49ers to overtime, got the game-winning field goal before he faced the Patriots at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So because of those 2 wins, I believe he will be enshrined also. Speaking of enshrined, I had the wonderful opportunity to be on Crossover Wednesday on Locked On Patriots. And from what you tell me and from what I've been hearing just in the past couple of days, there's a lot of Patriots rooting interest for Super Bowl 54.
There is. There's a buzz up here in New England, and it's something different than what we've seen in years past. Obviously, the Patriots are usually making preparations to be in this game. I actually wrote a little piece, earlier on, in the week about Stephon Gilmore and Matthew Slater being down in Florida for the Pro Bowl, and I said it's not usual that we see Patriots in the Pro Bowl. They're usually making other plans this time of year. But, there's definitely a rooting interest, and it does begin and end with Jimmy Garoppolo. And look, there are some up here that'll tell you that, maybe we don't want to see Jimmy win it because it would be a sign that maybe the Patriots gave up on him too quickly and maybe they made the wrong decision. Now, folks, the Patriots didn't make the wrong decision by holding on to Tom Brady. They went to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. I don't think the Patriots are regretting that decision. Same, though, when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. They are looking at it as they got their franchise quarterback, the guy that's led them to this point. And yes, I know it's been the strength of the defense, the strength of the running game, but Jimmy Garoppolo has had a big, plus for that as well. So the 49ers they're a likable team up here in New England. They do remind, I think, a lot of Patriots fans of the New England Patriots. And we've talked about the parallels between these 2 teams. That's not just the Jimmy G connection. That's the defense, the way they play, the front 7, the linebackers, the secondary, all using that to get to where they need to be. The way they use the fullback, the use of special teams, the running game being such a complementary piece. We look at all of those similarities and we say, you know what? This is a team after our own heart. There's also the factor that the Kansas City Chiefs came up here in Foxborough and they beat us early on in the season, which a lot of people are pointing to as really the turning point in the Patriots season. That game goes the other way. We could have had a whole different circumstance in the AFC. Credit the Chiefs, they came up here and won a very tough game against the Pats. So there's still probably a little bit of that, but the finger on the pulse right now is definitely beating in tune with the San Francisco 49ers, and I think, my friend, you've got a lot of support up here in the New England area for the 49ers.
And I said in April, and you were on this program with me when we were covering the draft, that the 49ers are going to be the team to watch, and I also said that I wouldn't be surprised that they would be the team to represent the NFC. And you quickly jumped on board with me. A lot of people were afraid to. Well, looky here. Look who is in Miami representing the NFC.
Absolutely. And I give you all the credit in the world, my friend. When you first said that, I was initially looking at it and saying, well, I think they're going to have a nice season. I think they'll surprise a lot of people. I was a little reticent to say that they were going to be the team that would represent the NFC. Then I watched this team in training camp, and I watched them emerge through the preseason, and I watched them start into the regular season. And once you saw what this team was capable of playing like, then all of a sudden that prediction became a very realistic one to me. And not only realistic, but it also became likely. I really loved what I saw from the 49ers. You pointed out a lot of the intricacies of what they've done, both on defense and on offense in the running game. particularly their reliance on guys like Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida. And, now we're seeing Raheem Mostert come into his own and play very well. These are teams that have the ability to take games over in so many different ways. And you made this point yesterday when we spoke on Locked On Patriots. The 49ers can beat you in so many ways. That's one of the big keys to why they've been so successful. They can win a game in the trenches and grind out a running game and, grind out a very close, hard-fought game where the defense needs to step up big and make big plays. They can win in a blowout fashion. We saw that in the NFC Championship game, which not a lot of people expected. They thought it would be a very tough matchup between them and Green Bay. With the exception of a little bit in the third quarter, San Francisco dominated that contest from start to finish. So they're capable of beating you in so many ways. And I think that started when this team started to come together, and you started to see not only the positive attitude that they had, but they had the ability to back it up on the field with the personnel and the skill level they've developed.
Let's look back at Week 17, and I had you on for a Saturday special to do our picks. And the last game we picked was San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle was the overwhelming favorite with the fans, but I will tell you something. You and I both believed in the 49ers even before we made our picks. They were due to beat Seattle in Seattle, getting that win in the Pacific Northwest, getting the number 1 seed, also that very important bye week, as well as clinching the NFC West. That was huge for San Francisco because they got healthy at the right time.
Absolutely, and that bye week was so important, and San Francisco played exactly that way throughout that game. They knew they needed it. They were not going to be denied, and they got it. And look, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they were within an eyelash, Seattle, and then we're going back and forth, and they could have very easily been the 5 seed. And yeah, a lot of that is true, but they weren't the 5 seed. They didn't give in to that. They allowed themselves to be in that position. They had the opportunity, and they took it, and that's what good teams do. That's why they're still playing.
You said it best, that game, and you said it before the Minnesota game 2 weeks later, a chance to shine on the big stage. Yes, all the questions would be about Jimmy Garoppolo, but a lot of the questions were about how the 49ers would perform in the postseason. The 3-and-out against Minnesota, I believe, set them on their way, not just for that game, but for the NFC Championship game as well.
Yeah, it truly did. It set the tone. It let everyone and put everyone on notice that this team was a different breed. They were a different type of football team. And again, they could beat you in a lot of different ways, but when it comes down to it, they simply know how to win football games. It's not about finesse. It's not about strength. It's not about this style versus that style. It's about winning football games. That's what teams do that are able to play deep into the postseason. Teams like the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers years ago, teams like the old 49ers back in the 80s, they ground out those victories and they knew how to win in so many different ways. You'd look back at some of those games and say, wow, I thought the 49ers were an offensive, I thought they were an offensive finesse team. How did they win that game in the trenches? Well, you look at it and you look at coaching. You look at the personnel that they've developed and guys that could do it all and contribute and make big contributions. Again, I think that's one of the big reasons why you're seeing a lot of Patriots fans look at the 49ers and say, I see a lot of New England in this team, because it's very similar. Especially, we've talked about the use of the fullback and how the Patriots are so, I don't want to say dependent on the fullback, but I mean, they're so reliant on the fullback to make big contributions. San Francisco brought that in very, very good this year, and they absolutely use that. Special teams is such a big key, having a strong kicker and a guy like Robbie Gould. These have all given the 49ers an opportunity to be the best team in the NFC, and credit them. They haven't just had the opportunities. They went out and took it every single time. It's not a rhyme or reason that teams like that are usually the last team standing, and they're the last of the two that are standing in the NFL right now, and for good reason, my friend.
You mentioned a very, very key position, the fullback. Back in the day, it was Tom Rathman. Later on, it was William Floyd. Now it's Kyle Juszczyk. He has not touched the ball in 2 games, but in 2 games in the postseason, he has made a huge impact, allowing the 49ers to run for almost 500 yards in 2 games in the playoffs.
The fullback is such a key when you want a strong running game, especially a running game where you have many versatile backs that can hurt you. Again, I bring it back to the New England Patriots because it's something that is in my blood. But you look at the way the Patriots won in the postseason last year. They ran the football, and they ran the football very effectively. They ran with a three-headed running monster of Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, and James White. You look at the way those guys are predicated, and it's not a big surprise that they had a very solid fullback, somebody they missed dearly this year in James Devlin. That was a big loss for the Patriots. One of the big reasons why their running game could not get on track. People point to the offensive line all the time. It wasn't like that. It was a lot of it was because Devlin was not there, throwing the blocks, getting the key runs, being able to put his head down and power through, especially at the goal line, to make key plays. You mentioned Ustek, and that's something that the 49ers have done this year. Yes, he hasn't touched the ball a whole lot in the last couple of games, but he's been involved in every one of these running plays. Look at and looking at the All-22 and looking at the game film from the NFC Championship game, he's in there making blocks. He's doing things that make this team go, that make this team be able to be the running juggernaut they are. It's such a key part of an offense that is built to win in the postseason, and the 49ers are playing that better than anybody right now, in my opinion, in the NFL.
The Kansas City Chiefs are the AFC champions. They face some tough defenses in the AFC, including Tennessee, and they faced Baltimore in the regular season, including Houston, but I don't think that even the Chiefs have seen a defense this ferocious.
No, they haven't, and that includes the New England Patriots defense, which was, top ranked for a number of weeks this year in the NFL. But 49ers have health on their side, and they also have youth on their side. That's something that the New England Patriots, Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans, no matter which defense you throw at the Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't been able to find that guy that could match for match with some of the speedy receivers. New England has a very good secondary, but with the exception of Stephon Gilmore and then having to throw J.C. Jackson out there weren't a lot of guys that could cover. Patrick Chung was injured for most of the season, so it made it difficult for them to defend the tight end with Travis Kelce. San Francisco doesn't have that problem. They have a deep safety core. You can definitely expect them to throw the safeties on Kelce and try to contain him. You have speedy corners and you have cover corners, guys that can play in the cover schemes and zone, and guys that can play man coverage that should be able to match up with a lot of what Kansas City brings to the table. That's a very tough offense. I mean, you go up and down and you take a look at Tyreek Hill, you take a look at Sammy Watkins, you look at Mecole Hardman. Those are just three of the guys. They have other guys that can hurt you as well.
Absolutely.
And then you look at the running game, which is almost never mentioned, with Damian Williams. Oh, and let's not forget Patrick Mahomes. He can tuck and run as good as anybody on that team as well. So there's a lot of weapons and a lot of ways that Kansas City can hurt you. But the problem is that they're running into is San Francisco has a defense that matches up so well with what Kansas City does well. That's why I know there's a report floating around on Thursday that a lot of GMs and a lot of coaches in this league are now expecting Kansas City to roll in this game. I would be very, very cautious in telling people to expect a Kansas City rout in this game. I think it's going to be just the opposite. I think there's going to be a very, very close game. I think both teams are very evenly matched. And I think San Francisco is ready to come to play. This is not a team that's going to get blown out, folks.
It's really not. The 49ers haven't been blown out all year. They've been in every single game. As a matter of fact, you can make the argument that were it not for a pair of field goals at the gun, as well as a weird ending against Atlanta at Levi's Stadium, San Francisco would still be undefeated.
They might be. I mean, and there's a very good argument for that. And, Brian, in a lot of ways, let me tell you, undefeated seasons can sometimes be the weight of the world going on to a team heading into the postseason. There's only one team that knows what that's like other than the 70s Miami Dolphins, and that's the 2007 New England Patriots. They had that weight on their shoulders, and even Bill Belichick has come out and said, you know what? Might not have been a bad thing if we lost the game. It really might not have been. I think they would have rather have had that Super Bowl title than maybe the undefeated season that they were trying to hold on to. A lot of times losses like that build character. we talked about a little bit on the show earlier in the week, and we also talked about it on Locked On Patriots yesterday in Week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
This team turned the ball over 5 times. They came back from that adversity, albeit they won that game. But it was a game in which they had to overcome adversity, and teams that have the ability to overcome adversity like that and still be able to come out on top are the teams that you see playing deep into the playoffs. So I agree with you. I think they very easily could be undefeated. I think there's a situation where, they're definitely coming in, meeting a team that's playing as hot as anybody right now. No one is saying that Kansas City is not capable of winning this game. They certainly are. But the 49ers are equally as capable of winning this game. And I think to say that these guys are going to get routed is a big-time mistake I don't know. I don't put too much stock into what people say before the games. That's why they play the games on the field and not on paper. Let it happen as it will on the field. I would be shocked if that was the case. I would absolutely be shocked if that was the case, but I don't expect it. I think these two teams are evenly matched, and you're going to see a good game coming up in another week.
You're going to see a wonderful Super Bowl coming up next Sunday, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this in a week's time when we make our official picks, even though I think we may have tipped our hand already. But it just seems like, and I said this against the Packers, and I said this against the Vikings, as great as Kansas City is playing right now, revenge against Houston, they didn't have to see Baltimore's defense. They didn't have to see New England's defense. It's the irresistible force of the Chiefs' offense meeting the immovable object that's the 49ers' defense. That's how I see this right now. And in 2 games, the immovable object has yet to be touched.
Absolutely, and it has yet to be touched. And look, going into the Super Bowl last year, when you take a look at the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots, 2 teams facing off, everyone expected this to be an offensive juggernaut. The Patriots were going to come in. They were running the ball well. They were hanging a lot of points up. They put up a lot of points against the Chiefs. They absolutely annihilated the Chargers at home. These guys were capable of scoring. Rob Gronkowski was going to go off. He was healthy and everything was going to be okay. Look at the other side. Jared Goff is going to put up a lot of points. Todd Gurley is going to be back to form. Brandon Cooks is going to get in the open, and he's going to be able to make plays. They expected a huge offensive output from both teams. New England won that Super Bowl 13-3 on the strength of defense. And credit the Rams. They played well defensively in that game, too. Just the Patriots played at another world level when it came to defense in the Super Bowls. Defense wins championships, folks. And when you take a look at the 2 units side by side, I give all the credit in the world to Steve Spagnuolo and some of the new additions that they made in Kansas City. Their defense is vastly improved from where it was last year. But the San Francisco 49ers has been the elite defense in the NFL all year long. And if it comes down to a defensive slugfest, I like San Francisco's chances in this one.
Let's look at San Francisco's defense and how out of sight they've been playing all season long. I've mentioned this quite a few times. You and I have talked about it. There's one thing the 49ers don't do or don't have to do. That's blitz. They don't have to send extra pressure because they got 4 good guys up front that get home.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I think, and, may, anger some of my own constituents here when I say this, but to me, that's what separates them from the Patriots defense this year. And look, the Pats had a tremendous year. They had a great defense. They really and truly did. They ran a lot of what they did, and they had the success that they had on the backs of their defense. But that was one of the things they had to do in order to be effective. They loved that zero blitz. They loved to do it. They also loved to show blitz. And then if they didn't do it, they would drop the linebacker into coverage and they'd be able to cover, and the linebacker would turn into almost a 5th or sometimes even a 6th defensive back when they wanted to run the nickel packages. San Francisco doesn't have to do that. They know who they are. They absolutely have the ability to rush the passer with the defensive front that they have, the edge rushers. You get the defensive ends in there, and they're able to do that, and the linebackers can play within their scheme. They don't necessarily have to show or disguise a lot of what they're doing. That's the mark of an excellent defense. When you know what's coming and you still can't stop it, it's difficult. Switching sports here, it reminds me a lot of what Mariano Rivera used to do when he used to come in
when he threw
as
that
relief
cutter.
Pitcher. Everybody knew that cutter was coming. No one in the stadium expected anything different, and they still couldn't hit it.
Nope.
To me, that's what I'm seeing out of the San Francisco defense this year. And it's a scary thing, even when you have a quarterback playing as well and as high of a level as Patrick Mahomes is playing at right now.
And, having this kind of season, going from 4-12 to 13-3. I mentioned the Pittsburgh game being a turnaround game for the 49ers. Look at the middle of that. Look at the middle of that stretch. They beat Pittsburgh, committing 5 turnovers. They come home and they blast Cleveland on Monday night, and then they go to Los Angeles and shut them down. Those 3 games got them on their way, and I believe it also got the 49ers prepared for that unbelievable gauntlet they had the second half of the year.
It did. And moments like that test you for battle. And that's exactly what a good team will be able to do. I watched the Patriots do it last year. They had a stretch where they played an unending, basically they played contending team after contending team, road games, and a lot of people said, "Oh, this is where they're going to falter. This is where they're going to drop a few," and they would win those games. Then there were a couple of games that a lot of people didn't expect them to lose, and they lost, such as the games to Pittsburgh and Miami last year. Saw something very similar with the 49ers this year. Mm-hmm. Not everybody expected them to lose that game against Atlanta. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. But when you looked at it and you looked at the effort and how they played and some of the mistakes, the mental mistakes that were made in that game, you looked at it and said it's uncharacteristic for this team. They just had a bad day. It's one of those things. And Atlanta came in, pumped up to play, ready to play, and they were ready to take it to them. So, credit them, chalk it up. You learn from it, and you move on, and that's exactly what San Francisco has done this year. I give so much credit to Kyle Shanahan for having his team ready. Every single time he's needed to have them ready, they've been ready, and they're going to be ready in this game coming up for the Super Bowl. He's going to have this team clicking on all cylinders. So will Andy Reid. There's no question about it. He's been waiting a long time to get back to the big game. Kansas City's pumped up. They want to win it for him. This is going to be a great game coming up. I mean, really, in my opinion, these two are the best teams in the NFL this year, albeit respect to the Baltimore Ravens. I know they had a great season. Respect to the Saints and the Packers and the Seahawks and teams that had very good seasons. But these two teams are there because they deserve to be. They're the two best teams on either side. And I think in this year's Super Bowl, you're really going to be up for a great contest. This is going to be a fun one to watch. These are the two best teams that are in the Super Bowl, and they've proven it all season. They've proven it throughout the playoffs. Looking at Kansas City, down 24-0 to Houston at home, quiet Arrowhead Stadium, and then you blink and it's 28-24 Kansas City. You look at the TV, as my wife and I did, and you're just sitting there going, what the hell happened? I'll tell you what happened. Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense got mad. Absolutely. They truly did. And they proved again, and we talk about the San Francisco 49ers being able to beat you in a lot of different ways. Kansas City Chiefs offense can beat you in a lot of different ways, too. They proved that they can do it through the air. We know that Mahomes is a prolific passer. I mentioned earlier on this week on the show that I've been so impressed with the maturity and the growth that I've seen in Patrick Mahomes in terms of a pocket passer, his patience, his presence in the pocket, his ability to make things happen, his ability to expand out of the pocket and make things happen, not just rely on his athleticism, but rely on his savvy and his decision-making. That, to me, has been so impressive for him this year. He's also capable of running. We saw that. That run play down the sideline, that changed the complexity of the game. If he doesn't make that, or if that ends up falling flat, all of a sudden Tennessee has some momentum. You don't know how these things can turn out. Momentum is such a big part of success in the NFL. Credit the Kansas City Chiefs. They saw the opportunity to take the momentum, and they did that. Now, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for Mahomes to make runs like that against this San Francisco defense. I would caution him to do that because these guys are they're not shy about throwing the weight around a little bit, legally, of course, but they'll give you a shot if you need to. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a heightened, I think, alert on his part to do that. They're going to have to make some adjustments, just like San Francisco is going to have to adjust a little bit to account for some of the speed that they're going to see. Going to be a real chess match, and to see these guys go back and forth, it's going to be something special to watch. Our breakdown of Super Bowl 54 will continue next week. Mike Debate will join me both Wednesday and Friday, and don't forget on Sunday, the time is coming soon, where I will host my first ever Super Bowl special, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs battle for the Lombardi Trophy at Hard Rock Stadium, and I'll throw this stat out there right now.
The 49ers are 2-0 in Joe Robbie Stadium. They won Super Bowl 23 and they won Super Bowl 29. This is their third trip to Miami. So you got to throw that in there too. We'll continue our breakdown next Wednesday. You can catch Mike Debate on Locked On Patriots every single day for your favorites and Patriot news and news notes and the occasional opinion. It's Locked On Patriots. Search Locked On Patriots on your favorite app, and you can find this man also on full press coverage. A proud carrier of Snowman in the Morning. I am so pleased and I am so excited for full press coverage to be one of the first syndicators of Snowman in the Morning. Great to have you on as always, my friend.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Have a great weekend with you all next week. And to join you on the Super Bowl pregame, it's going to be a blast. Really looking forward to the week ahead. It's going to be a fun one.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate the time.
Anytime. Always appreciate the platform, buddy. Take care.
We got some more coming for you after this. Snowman in the Morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
We continue our tribute to one Kobe Bryant, and I have the sports judge, Jonathan Mathis, here with me. And you want to talk about a Laker fan that's devastated. I have him on right now. As much as I pick on him, there ain't no picking on him about this. Sports judge, your thoughts?
Man, when I first heard the news, I wanted to believe, like most people, that it wasn't real. You know, I thought it was one of those celebrity death hoax, you know. Yeah. Once I saw that TMZ reported it, I said, this cannot be real. This cannot be true. I don't want to believe that Kobe Bryant is dead. Then moments later, ABC 7 reported it. And I said to myself, my goodness, oh my goodness, this cannot be happening. Please, no. This is real. Sure enough, I looked and saw another report surface, and I can't believe we're sitting here today talking about the death of a legend.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, LeBron just passed Kobe for third all-time in scoring. He did that over the weekend. Yeah. And now we lose Kobe. He was lost in a helicopter crash.
Yes.
And not only him, his daughter as well. And speaking as a parent, the toughest thing that I do not wish on any parent is for them to lose a child. The toughest thing.
I could imagine. I could really imagine that being the hardest loss for anyone is having to bury your child. I can't really tell you from that perspective because I don't have kids myself yet. But from those who've talked about it after losing a child, it seems like it's one of those things that you never want to experience in life. And like you said, I would never wish that on anyone. So I know this has to be a hard day for his mom and dad. I know this is very, very hard for Vanessa. She's been married to Kobe for so many years. They had their ups and downs together. She stayed by his side during his low point, and she never gave up on him. She stayed loyal to him, through their rough times, and she could have walked out on him. She never did. She stayed, with him. And this was teenage love. They were together as teenagers. So I could imagine what's going through her mind right now, and with her other 3 daughters. You know, it's hard. Now, I can tell you from experience, losing my father, that is very, very hard for a child at such a young age to not have their father in their life. It is very, very difficult.
I lost my father in 2007, and it still hurts to this day. I'm handling it a lot better, but there are some days, and you know this from losing your dad, I've heard so many people say to me, time heals all wounds, and to an extent that's true, but when it's someone really close to you, that time heal all wounds, some days can be a flat-out lie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It could be very tough. And I'm pretty sure, as strong as a woman as Vanessa is, I'm pretty sure she's going to do everything she can to make sure her kids get, you know, that counseling that they're going to need.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure, you know, that they get the help that they need.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it really impacts you at such a young age when you lose a dad.
Yeah.
And I just cannot believe that we're sitting here. This is just hard to process, this whole thing.
It really is.
Because so many people, especially here in LA, they idolize this man. They looked up to him. You know, he's done a lot for this city. You know, I mentioned earlier that he, you know, along with Shaq, they brought the Lakers back to relevance.
They did.
And
they did.
You know, they really, you know, put this team, you know, back on the top. And to have this happen, you lost a part of your childhood.
Yeah.
That is what I'm feeling right now. I lost a part of my childhood because I grew up watching Kobe. I grew up admiring his game. I appreciated everything that he did for this city, for this community, for the fan base. And to have this happen, it's just a real shame, you know, and I'm trying to process it all. And I'm trying to understand why. You know, I know it's not good to question these types of things, but why?
Yeah.
You know, and it's ironic that it happened on the eve of the Grammys. You know, this is the same thing that we saw a few years ago when Whitney Houston died.
Right.
You know, right before the Grammys. So, I mean, that right there is ironic, you know, that we're talking about another celebrity dying
right before the
Grammys.
And you know there are going to be tributes all over the place when it comes to the Grammys for Kobe Bryant. You're there you're there in Los Angeles. What is the pulse of Los Angeles, you know, with them finding out this horrible news?
People are deeply saddened today by this. We lost a legend. And right now, everyone is mourning the loss of a legend.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like you just lost a family member.
Yeah.
It feels as if you lost a relative of your own. You know, and if you watch Laker basketball growing up in LA, Kobe had a significant impact on your life.
Yeah.
No question about it. He had a big impact on your life.
Really
I was 11 years old when he emerged onto the NBA scene. And that's all of my childhood right there.
Yeah.
You know, when I lost my father, he gave me that extra push to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, because he was someone that I looked up to once my dad passed away.
Right.
You know, basketball was my therapy. It was a sense of relief for me. So to turn on the Laker game and to see him, you know, balling, it was, you know, like a form of a therapy. You know, it gave me that peace of mind.
Absolutely.
And, you know, now today I'm sitting here mourning the loss a few days before my dad's death anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a trip.
It is.
It really is,
man. It is. Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge, joining me as we pay all kinds of tributes to one Kobe Bean Bryant. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
More coming up in a couple.
This is No Man in the Morning,
Holy on smoke!
where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
I welcome Russ Williams, who a former basketball player at Manhattan College, big-time NBA fan. Russ, welcome to the show as always, and I give you the floor to offer your thoughts on Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, thank you so much, Snowman. I really appreciate that. My condolences go out to the Kobe Bryant family, his family, friends, also to those other 7 passengers who were fatally killed during that accident as well. Yeah, really tough time.
It's a tough time, and what I realized, and my wife realized it as well as I was talking about it, it hit me hard a couple of ways. Not only as a fan, but also as a parent. The toughest thing, the toughest thing for a parent to deal with is losing their child, especially in this tragic fashion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too, Snowman. It really hit me hard as well. I have 2 daughters myself, and I have one daughter who's 15, and I noticed, his youngest daughter was born in 2006. My daughter was born in 2004. So, that really hit me the hardest. Me being a former athlete and my daughter who loves volleyball, she plays volleyball. So instinctively, that really hit me once I found out about the news about Kobe Bryant, but then the death of his daughter as well. That really hit home for me. That was the first thing. Those are a couple of things I was first initially, drawn to the story on that.
As reactions continue to pour in, and I want to thank everyone who has volunteered to share their thoughts or who has shared their thoughts already. You're going to hear them throughout the course of the week. Of course, this is also Super Bowl week, but it's so hard to concentrate on the Super Bowl, and I will get to it later on in the show. Y'all will hear Mike debate. I had him on Friday. I'm going to have him tomorrow. But it's really hard to concentrate with this news about Kobe Bryant, and I am so happy the folks that Alicia Keys hosted the Grammys on Sunday night. She, Boyz II Men, Lizzo, and so many people throughout the course of that ceremony, as it was held in the Staples Center, honored Kobe Bryant and called it the house that Kobe built. And to have that community back him up the same way they backed him up for years, good times, bad times, whatever number he wore, number 8, number 24, it was a fitting tribute, and it's been a fitting tribute since the news came down.
Yeah, that's true. I saw the NBA had the fitting tributes to him, getting 24-second violations and 8-second counts as well. Yeah, that was a nice fitting thing. I'm kind of on the caution of what Jay Williams said on ESPN. He talked about how, possibly maybe the game should have been canceled. I'm on that side too, but, obviously they didn't do that. But, those 24-second violations, and those were very fitting as well. So,
when this came down, I knew today's Transition Tuesday would be about Kobe Bryant, and you brought it to me saying we have to discuss this, and done nothing but discuss it since the news came down on Sunday, and I had some interviews done on Sunday. This is a question, and I think we need to just dive into our subject with the death of Kobe being the backdrop. How does a spouse make the most difficult transition, especially after losing their partner, because it was a difficult, let me change that word, is a difficult transition for my mom. And my dad's been gone since 2007, lost him to prostate cancer. So Vanessa Bryant is facing the most difficult challenge and the most difficult transition of her life.
Yes, I agree. I think in terms of this transition, because like yourself too, Snowman, I lost my dad maybe 5 years ago due to cancer as well. And, that transition is tough. I think the first GPS we can talk about is just keeping the faith. This really tests your faith as an individual. And, things happen for a reason, as they say, God never gets it wrong. But I think your faith is tested, and it just really diving into your faith. I think that's going to be a pivotal, transitional element for, people going through this now, for the family of Kobe Bryant as well, just keeping that faith. Another GPS I always recommend is, you have to hold true and evident to those memories that you have of that person. It could be the slightest things, the slightest memories that you might have of that particular person. Hold on to those memories. Hold on to those memories. Like, for example, I'm looking at the memory and I'm seeing all throughout the news cycle, Kobe Bryant and his daughter, the poignant memory that I'm taking from me is the home pictures that look like he had of him and his daughter working out. Kobe showing his daughter, if a person plays you up close, how you create space and how you go to the basket. These are moments that you have to hold on to. And I think these moments will be shared, have those moments for, Kobe Bryant's wife and his family as well. So holding on to those precious moments, holding on to the good things that you thought about that particular person in this time of, when that person transitions and moves on.
Another transition that's taking place for Vanessa Bryant, her family. Give me a few moments, folks.
Sure, no problem.
It's a transition I'm still dealing with, and that's transitioning into a grieving period, because there has to be a grieving period. And on 2 occasions, as my wife showed me and pointed out to me, I never allowed myself to grieve. And I've lost both a parent and I've lost a child. And if there are two difficult places to grieve, those are the 2 difficult places.
Yes, I agree with you, Snowman. Yeah, you have to allow yourself time to grieve. Again, there's no timetable on the grieving as well, but that grieving process has to take place. It definitely has to take place, and it's on that person's timetable as well. That's the most important thing. But a grieving process has to definitely take place. I remember when my dad passed away. I had a grieving period. It took me a number of months to really go through the process, but it's something I had to do, and because of it, I was better off doing that. So I think the grieving process has to be done, and again, it's no timetable. It just depends on the individual, but it has to be done.
It indeed has to be done. Russ Williams joining me to kick off the Tuesday show as we talk transitioning from losing someone very close, losing a parent, losing a child. It's just there's no correct way to put this as we continue to honor Kobe Bryant throughout the course of the week. It leads me to my Snowman's take, and I got to look at this from both sides. The Bryant family, his 3 remaining daughters, lost a parent, and they also lost a sibling, and Vanessa lost a child. And those are 2 areas I am too familiar with, because I lost my dad in 2007 to prostate cancer, as I've spoken of many times on this show. And I lost my daughter in 2015 when she was 2 years old, and I don't know which one hurt worse, because both sides of the coin hurt, and it hurts very badly, because when you lose a parent and you lose a child, I'll say it again, it's two of the most difficult things to handle. And I'm sorry, folks. As my wife pointed out, I never allowed myself time to grieve, and I know Vanessa Bryant and her family and the rest of her daughters are grieving right now. The NBA universe is grieving, and it just made me realize how much this hurts. I was talking to some people at work this morning, and I told them, when they saw me tearing up, they asked, how did it hit you? And it hit me as a fan, because I loved watching Kobe. I mean, as a fan, I loved watching Kobe. There are so many players whose teams I didn't like, but I loved watching the players on that team because they played as a team. I mentioned the Celtics for a long time. The Kobe and Shaq Lakers, because it was just a beautiful brand of basketball to watch. And Kobe was the last of the old schoolers. He was the last of... Oh, God, this is hitting me. I tried doing the show yesterday, and this is really hitting me right now. Kobe was the last of the old schoolers who played for the love of the game, and he played to win. He played to win. He played for his teammates. So many people have said he was a bad teammate. I say bollocks to that. It's become one of my favorite words. I got hooked on an audio book mystery series by J.D. Robb, and one of my favorite characters is Rourke, and he's Irish, and one of my favorite words is bollocks. And my wife's laughing at me as she helps to turn the dials for the show. Oh my gosh. He wasn't a bad teammate because he helped his teammates win. His last game was a 60-point game, and they celebrated like they won the title as well. They should have. That's a hell of a way to go out. His daughter was going to carry on his legacy, his basketball legacy. I'm sorry. It's just hitting me so hard, and it's hitting me hard now. Talking to people, coming in from work, cranking this up. And it's the most difficult thing to go through. And I want to thank Russ Williams for helping me kick off the show. And I'm going to take a break to compose myself, and I'll do a better Snowman's Take a little later. But my condolences and prayers go out to the Bryant family. It goes out to the NBA and its universe, because they lost a legend. Rest in peace, Black Mamba. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, Gianna Bryant. And to the other victims, including the Altobello family, the baseball family.